Now, Wave News at 5.
9 o'clock, I'm going to blow your place apart. Gaytown, you're in my sights. Louisville, you're in my sights.
An intense, hours-long standoff in Louisville ends with a man in handcuffs. Neighbors outside capturing it all on video, but that's not all. This is Wave News at 5. I'm Brian Schlansky. Myra is off. The SWAT standoff started with a man live streaming on social media. Wave News reporter Logan Perrone has more on the charges he now faces and the reaction from neighbors.
Yeah, Brian, that man is 45-year-old Robert DeLul, who was arrested after making threats against children and law enforcement. He's now facing 3 felony charges. People who watched as the SWAT team got him out of his house say police have been there many times. Metro Codes and Regs cleaning up a mess Thursday. One made by LMPD SWAT team.
Exit the location, unarmed with your hands in the air.
Police arrested 45-year-old Robert DeLul after an 8-hour standoff near Fern Creek. Neighbors like Austin Street say DeLul was always causing trouble.
Every day, every time he made threats, I felt like it could have been me.
Street lives next door and claims problems began roughly 2 years ago when DeLul moved in. He and other neighbors who declined to speak on camera say police have been to his house before, but never like this.
I've seen police outside over a dozen times on multiple occasions for minor things. I'm surprised it took them this long to get a warrant out for his arrest.
LMPD was alerted to DeLul's home on Lake Elkhorn Court Wednesday after a series of Facebook Live videos where he threatened to hurt people's children at school.
I'll kill your kids. I'll be at their school. They're dead. How's your kid?
His arrest citation says DeLul made additional threats to his ex-girlfriend, her boyfriend, and officers who arrived at the scene. For hours, he continued to stream while surrounded by SWAT.
I'm right here. I'm not coming out.
Oh, they're going in.
There they go.
LMPD SWAT team eventually went in and arrested him shortly after midnight. He's charged with 2 counts of terroristic threatening and 1 count of violating a protective order. Street says, as stressful as the situation was, he's relieved.
It's crazy to think about, but I mean, we are safe now that he's gone.
LMPD says the case is still being investigated by the department's Homeland Security Unit. DeLul is scheduled to be arraigned tomorrow morning. Logan Perrone, Wave News.
So they got him. All right. Thank you, Logan. It is now day 2 of the federal government shutdown, and the budget debate is starting to have an impact. There are reports that WIC, a food program for women, infants, and children, could run out of money by next week. A recent survey shows that about 1/4 of military families rely on this program. Service members are among the federal workers that are not currently getting paid. The White House says it'll soon use the shutdown as a reason to lay off federal workers. Governor Beshear addressed the move in his Team Kentucky press conference earlier today.
If the president is going to fire thousands of federal employees, that's on him. He can't blame that on anybody else. Why? Because in other shutdowns, it hasn't happened. Our families are not a prop. They are not to be used as negotiating tactics or for leverage.
Beshear says federal programs that come through Kentucky will continue. He also added that WIC and SNAP benefits will continue at this time, but state officials will be assessing those programs day to day. Food pantries across our area say they are getting ready for a potential increase in demand if federal workers go without pay for a prolonged period of time or if federal assistance programs get suspended. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Francischini shares their concerns and the help they say they need.
Exodus Family Ministries operates one of many food pantries across Louisville, and they say it's been hard keeping up with the growing demand for food access in the area. The executive director of Exodus Family Ministries says 2 years ago they were serving about 700 people a month. In 2025, that number is closer to 1,800.
We constantly are getting emails on our website of people saying, you know,
I don't know how I'm going to feed my kids this week. Is there any way that you all can help me? I think just kind of the tone right now in general is desperation.
Desperation that Schlater says might be fueled even more by the government shutdown.
Obviously, none of us know how it'll play out, but I think you've got people that are already desperate. They're already nervous. They're already afraid of where their next meal's coming from. And when you have that environment, then anything like this is going to really agitate that.
Dare to Care is one of the pantry's biggest food providers. Staff there say more than 186,000 people are experiencing food insecurity in the 13 counties serviced by Dare to Care. That's a 48% jump in just the past 2 years.
Right now is a scary time for many families. We've been seeing a lot of people visiting the food bank for the very first time. And so people are already struggling to meet needs of food, housing, utilities, things like that.
Alexis Richardson says their biggest concern is that a prolonged government shutdown could cause delays in programs like TFAP and SNAP. She says it could also cause longer lines to get WIC services.
What we'll see is more people coming to us if they're not getting those food stamps, if they're not getting their WIC, they're coming to the food bank to kind of help put food on the table.
If you or someone you know is struggling with food insecurity, you can find more information on how to get help on wave3.com. Fernando Garcia, Francis Sheeny, Wave News.
All right, let's turn now to your forecast here as we take a live look outside. Downtown Louisville looks glorious from our SkyTrack camera here on our evening set here. Meteorologist Ryan Hoke is in for Kevin this evening. Good to see you as always, and seems like a nice night maybe to eat outside on the patio.
Yeah, likewise, Brian. This is a fantastic evening. Temperatures are in the mid-80s. It feels just like summer outside. You probably saw the wasps around the camera there. Another sign that fall may be here, but the weather didn't get the memo on that. We're at 86 right now in Jeffersonville. Salem's at 85. Hello, Litchfield. You've got 84 on the maps at this hour. As we zoom things out, you'll notice it's quiet across the region, high pressure in control. There is, however, a few light showers out to our west. This is going to fuel a 10% shower chance for our Friday. Most of us get missed, but if you do get a couple of drip drops, you'll be lucky because it's been dry around here lately. You'll see that small shower chance starting to edge in tomorrow morning here. Otherwise, a few clouds tonight. Mild lows in the 60s are expected. We've got so many events on this first weekend of October coming your way. Got the details on the weather for a lot of them in just a few minutes, Brian.
Good deal. All right. Thank you, Ryan. New here at 5 o'clock, an Indiana judge rules against a man incarcerated for 27 years for murder. But that man's attorneys say he was wrongfully convicted. A disappointed 53-year-old Jason Hubble left the Columbus, Indiana courtroom in shackles. Hubble was convicted in the 1997 murder of Sharon Myers. She was abducted from her workplace in May of that year. Her skeletal remains were discovered in Johnson County 6 months later. In September, a circuit court judge determined that investigators ignored and the state withheld evidence that could have implicated another man who was sent to Indiana's death row for a similar murder. The judge today agreed to postpone discussing bond or a new trial for Hubble pending the outcome of a state appeal. Newly filed court records show that former Scott County Sheriff Kenneth Hughbanks plans to plead guilty to tax evasion. He was arrested earlier this year, part of the fallout of the sweeping public corruption investigation into ex-Clark County Sheriff Jamey Noel. Wave News troubleshooter Mark Stevens joins us now. And Mark, the special prosecutor says that Hughbanks underreported his income for a number of years.
Hughbanks' tax evasion charge stems from his failure to report $145,000 in income from selling items. The bulk of the charge came from $123,000 paid to himself and his wife from his godmother's bank account, who suffers from dementia. Hughbanks had been under scrutiny since before the Noel investigation started. The Indiana State Board of Accounts flagged payments Noel made to a company Hughbanks owned from the Clark County's jail commissary fund. The audit says the invoices lack details or proof of work. That company was being paid while Hughbanks was acting as a consultant to the Clark County Sheriff's Office. He worked there in the past before Noel appointed him to the Scott County Sheriff's Office. However, the special prosecutor didn't charge Hughbanks with any crime related to that income. A court date has not been set for the change of his plea, and to get his sentencing, he faces a maximum of 2.5 years in prison. It's not likely he'll go to prison for that long. So far, Hughbanks marks the 5th person to plead guilty and avoid a trial stemming from the Noel investigation. Jamey Noel and his ex-wife Misty are serving their prison time. Their daughter Casey has completed her jail time. Former Clark County Council member Brittany Faree is serving 2 years probation. Now, once Hughbanks' case finishes, the last remaining person charged as a result is former Clark County Council member John Miller. He lost an appeal challenging the case against him. He's supposed to go on trial at the end of this month. Mark Stevens, Wave News.
See what happens. All right, thank you, Mark. We are working to learn more tonight about the fire that ignited at a plant facility in Rubbertown in West Louisville. Multiple crews were called out to an explosion around 11:30 a.m. at Carbine Industries on Bells Lane. There were no reports of any employee injuries. The PRP fire chief says there was a fire burning on the inside and the outside of the building. The cause of the fire is believed to have stemmed from a possible overflow of product from the furnace. But the cause is still under investigation. We have reached out to learn if that fire continues to burn, but have not heard back. Happening today, you will see a new traffic pattern on the 2nd Street Bridge. The work is part of the ongoing Main Remade project. The existing southbound right turn lanes are being removed near the KFC Yum Center. A single right turn lane will be constructed in its place. Signage will be placed in the area to alert drivers of the changes. The key feature to the Main Remade project is converting Main Street from one-way to two-way traffic. It's an effort to make traveling simpler and safer for those out on the roads. Additional upgrades will continue. New here at 5 o'clock, you'll have to watch out for closures near Eastern Parkway starting on Monday. A portion of Willow Avenue will be closed for sewer line repair. This will take place between Eastern Parkway and Cherokee Road. The area will be closed starting on Monday. Traffic detours will be in place. The repair work is expected to last a month or more. MSD says sewer services will not be impacted during this repair. A Louisville man was arrested after police say he illegally transferred a property's ownership into his name. We're learning more about this tactic and how you can protect yourself from it ahead at 5:30. Plus, the lead investigator in the disappearance of Crystal Rogers is describing the early groundwork in this case. We sat down with Alina Noakes to talk about his work. She'll break down his investigation next. A decade-long investigation ended in 2 trials and 3 convictions, all of it surrounding the case of the presumed murder of Bardstown mother Crystal Rogers. Well, now the lead investigator who laid the groundwork for prosecution sits down with Wave News reporter Alina Noakes, who's breaking down the details of this case. Alina?
Hey, Brian. Well, there are many things that can't necessarily be said on the stand in a trial. And when you're dealing with a lengthy investigation, evidence, interviews, and years of searches, that gets even more complicated. In his first interview with us post-murder trial, the former lead detective on the case, John Snow, gets honest about this once-in-a-career case. This summer, a jury convicted Brooks Houck, Rogers' then-boyfriend, when she disappeared in 2015 in her murder, along with 2 men prosecutors say he hired to help him, Stephen and Joseph Lawson. Houck was sentenced to life in prison for his role. Stephen and Joseph Lawson were sentenced to 17 years and 25 years in prison, respectively. In this interview, Snow delves into the evidence, what he felt was strong and what he wishes they would have had more of. Plus, when Brooks Houck became a suspect in his mind, the impact he feels unindicted co-conspirators had on his case, and what it's like to leave a job when a case like this remains open.
You have to understand that this case pretty much consumed the last 4 years of my career and occupied a lot of space in my head since it happened all the way through the convictions. And so, you know, it was very emotional. It still is, to some degree, very emotional to see justice for the victims that you have fought so hard for all that time. And quite frankly, for a law enforcement officer, for a detective to retire with an open case, with an unprosecuted case, is a very difficult thing to do. And so seeing that come to full circle meant an enormous amount, you know. And again,
We're going to have more on that coming up tonight at 6. The full interview with Detective Snow is already up on this story on our website at wave3.com. Alina Noakes, Wave News.
Interesting to hear it. All right, thank you, Alina. We have followed the Crystal Rogers case since the very beginning, when she first disappeared 10 years ago. We have our full coverage of this case and the trials that followed up on our website. One local library branch is offering a free swap, costume for costume, this Halloween. We'll tell you how to get in on that deal coming up next.
We've got so many fall events going on this weekend outside. The weather won't cooperate, but it'll feel a bit more like summer. Details on those events and the forecast coming your way after this break.
The work week is nearing its end, so we've got our sights set on the weekend. And in the commercial break, Ryan was running through a host of fun events this weekend. Nobody will be bored, and it looks like weather's going to play ball.
Yeah, you know, the Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular. We've got, of course, the U of L game, Bowman Fest. So much is going on. We can't forget St. James.
Yeah.
That might be the biggest one of the bunch here. Weather's going to be perfect there, Brian. Shorts and T-shirts pretty much the entire weekend if you're heading out to one of these many events going on across Louisville and southern Indiana here. Let's talk about the Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular. If you're heading out with the family this evening, you'll be in the lower 80s by 7 o'clock just after the gates open there. Temperatures will be in the 70s for the rest of the evening. Won't need a jacket if you're heading out. That humidity is just high enough to keep us out of that territory here. Same can be said for the St. James Court Art Show. It's this weekend, begins tomorrow, if you can believe it. Already time for St. James. We'll see temperatures in the upper 60s by 10 a.m. That's the coolest spot of the day because the rest of the afternoon will be quite warm. Highs in the mid 80s Friday afternoon. Make sure you're wearing sunscreen and take those sunshades with you too as we're heading through our Friday. Saturday, Sunday, both warm and even warmer than Friday. Look at this, 86 Saturday, Sunday, 87 for a high temperature. Check the calendar. It is still October after all. It's the second day of it today. Virginia's going to be in town against U of L at L&N Stadium on Saturday. We'll see plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will be in the 80s. Tailgating should be a very warm affair. Be ready for it. Let's get you outside now with our SkyTrack camera in downtown Louisville. It looks like summer with the bugs attacking the camera lens there. Current temperatures 85 degrees. That's been our high today too. 61 was that warm low temperature this morning, about 5 degrees above average for this time of year. You'll note that things are quiet across the lower Ohio Valley, save for a few showers out to our west. This is all thanks to some increasing moisture in the atmosphere. We will see a small shower chance just like this one tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's only 10%. We could use some rain around here. A few clouds will be around tonight. It's comfortable. Temperatures in the lower 60s again. Your AC is going to be running tomorrow all afternoon long. High of 85 degrees, warm and dry for our Friday. The 10-day earliest alert is now on your screen here. And you'll note that as we go through time, we've got those highs in the 80s bookended by our next rain chance. And we need it. That begins on Tuesday. What's going to happen here is tropical moisture from the Gulf is going to move in ahead of a cold front. That combination will squeeze off some scattered storms in our area here. And as that front moves through, we'll see likely a few showers on Wednesday, and then finally it dries out by Thursday. The question is, how much rain are we going to see out of this? Not enough, I can tell you that right now, but the current data is at least painting a quarter to a half of an inch through our area here, with the potential for a few folks in southern Kentucky to see potentially up to an inch. We'll see how that works. By the way, at the bottom of your screen, don't forget you can donate to my Men Wear Pink campaign. Already raised $7,700 for support of folks who have breast cancer and research there. And also, as we head throughout next week, Brian, the thing that you'll probably notice here is the temperature. It goes down after the front I just mentioned. We're talking lows in the 40s by Thursday morning of next week. Thursday afternoon in the 60s. I think we finally found the pumpkin spice weather.
Well, it's wild to see an 87 and a 48 on the same grid.
Yes, and that is October. It's always such a transition month for us, and this will be no exception.
It looks nice either way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. You're the guy who tees it up. New here at 5 o'clock. Today is the last day for you to donate your gently used Halloween costumes to the Bullitt County Library. It's all for a costume swap. You can hand over your gently used costumes at any of their locations until they close today. You can bring up to 3 costumes. They have to be clean, can't be torn or stained. But when you donate an item, they'll give you a ticket that you can then use to pick out a new costume at their annual Halloween costume swap. The event's happening this Saturday from noon to 2 p.m. at the Central Library. Another day has passed since the government ran out of funding, while lawmakers remain at odds with one another and the looming mass layoffs that are now being threatened. For the second full day, the government is closed for business. The Senate is adjourned until tomorrow. Democrats and Republicans are still blaming each other, with neither side willing to budge. President Trump today upping the ante, saying that he is now looking at layoffs. NBC's Yamiche Alcindor has the details from Washington.
Day 2 of the government shutdown, and there is no end in sight, with furloughed government employees anxious about their jobs and their paychecks. Today, President Trump posting online that he's meeting with Russell Vogt, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, to, quote, determine which of the many Democrat agencies Vogt recommends the president cut and which workers he will fire temporarily and permanently.
Look, it's likely going to be in the thousands.
I don't think it's unreasonable for the president to use all the levers.
And as Republicans and Democrats blame each other for the shutdown, the real effects are hitting everyday Americans.
We're at this standstill, and that panic, that's panic on real military families.
Federal workers, especially those already hit by government cuts, feeling frustrated.
What we really want to do is to be at work. We're feeling angry at being treated as political pawns.
And in a controversial move, the Trump administration squarely blaming the Democrats on government websites, which could violate federal law. But the tactics appearing to motivate Democrats to stand their ground.
Republicans have consistently shut the government down as part of their efforts to try to extract and jam their extreme right-wing agenda down the throats of the American people.
Independent polls show more Americans right now putting the blame on President Trump and Republicans for the shutdown. It's not clear if President Trump can legally fire federal workers during the shutdown. Several unions representing workers say their members are being used as pawns. And a White House official tells NBC News they're looking into the legality of all of this. Jamey Noel Case, NBC News, Washington.
One Kentucky lawmaker is pushing for more support for parents when it comes to buying baby diapers. It's an essential part of the infant stage and can be costly for families. Representative Vanessa Grossel of Georgetown is working to make diapers more accessible. The National Diaper Bank Network says 25% of working mothers have missed 5 or more days of work because they didn't have diapers to provide daycare facilities for their child. Kentucky is home to only one National Diaper Bank Network member that gives diapers to those in need. It's located here in Louisville at the St. Bernadette Diaper Bank that's on West Broadway. Grossel intends to file legislation next year to address diaper affordability here in Kentucky. A viral video showing a white woman getting slave shackles put on her has thrust a Louisville museum into the spotlight. We spoke to the Roots 101 CEO about the intended message behind the experience that's caught the attention of millions. Plus, it's been 10 months since medical cannabis became legal in Kentucky, but residents still can't buy the products. When supplies could finally hit store shelves. That's coming up next.
Now, Wave News at 5.
All new at 5:30, a Metro Councilwoman and multiple families want to raise awareness about what they believe is a ring of criminals working together to commit illegal deed transfers. Wave News reporter Julia Richardson is bringing us one Louisville woman's story. Julia?
Brian, 89-year-old Dorothy Turpin has owned her home on 26th Street here in Louisville for more than 50 years. But recently her family found out someone had filed a fake deed claiming Dorothy had passed away. Dorothy's family says the scammers then acted like the house was theirs, posting a for sale sign in the front and moving all of Dorothy's belongings out of the house. Metro Councilwoman Tammy Hawkins says the person responsible, Russell Cheatham, has turned himself in, but Dorothy's family is prepared for a long battle in court. Hawkins says although the Jefferson County Clerk's office reports lower numbers, she believes scams like this happen about once a week. Now she and Dorothy's family members want the community to stay alert and for Cheatham to pay for his actions.
All of her valuables, her jewelry, her clothing, her appliances, her furniture, he took it all. That is an empty house. So we also need you charged with that theft, Russell. And I intend to stay on this and follow it all the way to the end of the journey.
Cheatham was booked into the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections, charged with criminal possession of a forged instrument and theft of identity of another without consent. A spokesperson for the Jefferson County Clerk's office told me they recommend all property owners sign up for Clerk Alert, which is a system that alerts people when their records are filed in their name. We'll have more on how you can protect yourself and your family tonight on Wave News at 11. Julia Richardson, Wave News.
It's a wild story. All right, thank you, Julia. New here at 5:30, a Campbellsville woman has been arrested in connection with a stabbing. Police have arrested this woman. It's 35-year-old Kayla Thompson. They say she stabbed a woman yesterday afternoon at a home on Smith Ridge Road in Campbellsville. Officers say they found a woman that was stabbed multiple times, so we don't know her current condition. Thompson was taken into custody and charged with first-degree assault. We are staying on top of the day's big stories, including one Kentucky family's argument that their son's killer should still be in prison. Wave News anchor Jose Zozaya has the latest from the Wave Now studio.
Brian, back in 2018, we were actually there in Woodford County Court when a man was told he would serve 20 years for convictions in stabbing and killing a 6-year-old boy in his sleep. Well, Logan Tipton's family has now learned that Ronald Exantis is on parole and out of the state. We're going to have more on the family's disappointment coming up tonight on Wave News Extra, streaming live, of course, at 8:05 on social media and on the Wave Now app. Brian?
All right, it'll be interesting to see. Thank you so much, Jose. We want to switch gears now and turn back to your forecast here. We have meteorologist Ryan Hoke joining us with a look at what we can expect this evening. Huber's behind you, which means you're teeing up that fall weather.
Oh, yes, we are. We've got some fall weather in the forecast. You'll see it the 10-day from the Weather Garden here in just a few moments. But for now, these pumpkins are baking in the sun. Look at this, 85 degrees. That is the current temperature here in Louisville. Jeffersonville, 84. LaGrange, 81. This is a warm afternoon by all standards, not just for this time of year. You'll notice to our west, there are a few showers and downpours across western Kentucky here. Not expecting anything in our area tonight. However, as we head toward tomorrow, there may be a 10% chance for a pop-up shower or two. Those that see that would be very lucky. It's been a while since we've had a decent rain around here. Overnight tonight, the next 12 hours, temperatures drop down into the mild 60s. There's that tiny rain chance as we head towards 6 o'clock in the morning. Coming up in the 10-day earliest alert, the warmth continues. When do we see this cool air? Well, it comes after the outdoor events this weekend and a small rain chance. Details from the Weather Garden in just minutes, Brian.
Good deal. Thanks, Ryan. The University of Kentucky's president is easing the fear of impacts due to the government shutdown. President Eli Capelouto addressed the letter to campus on Tuesday ahead of that deadline. He said the university impact will depend on how long the shutdown lasts. Operations on campus are expected to run as normal, and student aid should continue flowing. The university is asking students who have any questions to contact the financial aid office. Capelouto said the university would monitor negotiations in Congress regarding funding. Medical marijuana became legal in Kentucky at the beginning of this year, but patients still can't buy it here in the Commonwealth. As of today, 14,530 medical cannabis cards have been issued all across the state, and more than 70 businesses have been given the go-ahead in Kentucky to grow and sell the product. But none of it is available to patients yet. We heard from the executive director of the Office of Medical Cannabis about the timeline for the rollout.
There has been a cultivator who has produced their first harvest, but again, it's really up to the cultivator and the licensee on where they move and when they move on that. I suspect if we're going to try to say timeframes, that it'll definitely be before the end of the year. We're hopeful that, it may be November.
Kentucky's first medical cannabis dispensary was set up in Beaver Dam, but it's not open yet. The director adds that besides benefits to patients, there is a business upside to medical cannabis. He predicts thousands of new jobs could be created related to production and distribution. Right now, Kentucky State Auditor Allison Ball is investigating the state's medical marijuana program. She is trying to determine if a lottery that was used to distribute cannabis licenses was actually fair. Ball's office says she received complaints from Kentucky-based businesses who claim that larger corporations from out of state were able to tip the odds in their favor by purchasing multiple license applications. The governor's office has previously said the lottery was transparent and fair. Hits of compassion is what the CEO of Louisville's Roots 101 Museum calls the attention that they have now been receiving. Right now, there is a video that's gaining millions of views on social media. It shows a woman getting slave shackles put on her. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke sat down with the museum CEO to dig into the message behind the experience. It's caught the eyes of millions of people.
Just the sheer sound of them. I mean, just the sound itself takes you to a place you've never been.
The Roots 101 Museum takes people on an educational journey in a way some have mixed emotions about.
Welcome to America.
This video has gained millions of views on social media.
Tell me what you're thinking. Just so much.
Putting slave shackles on museum visitors has been part of the experience since it opened 6 years ago.
On the internet, they played it as if it's white guilt. And it wasn't white guilt, it was white compassion.
Lamont Collins, the CEO and founder of Roots 101, uses the shackles as a tool to teach people compassion and understand the past.
It's connecting about like 3 slaves to one chain. One direction, one ankle, one ankle, one ankle. So it would be a connector. Can you imagine even the idea of being connected? This is a cow belt that went around the neck. So when you moved, they knew where you were.
Collins describes what he's doing as, quote, making the comfortable uncomfortable so we can all be comfortable. But based on reactions from the video, he feels like more people are uncomfortable with his method and his message.
I've been called the N-word, I've been called this, I've been called uneducated, and I've got my degrees. I've been called everything that you see that's going on in America was caught in that video. The feelings of that was caught in the video.
I've always been interested in history and the history of Black people.
Kentucky's history with slavery is complex, with breeding farms raising Black people to send them down the river, people being able to see freedom from across the Ohio River into Indiana, and then even after slavery was abolished with the 13th Amendment in 1865, Kentucky's General Assembly rejected it. Lawmakers only officially ratified the 13th Amendment in 1976, long after it had gone into effect nationwide. While talking with Collins, I wanted to experience what the woman in the video felt.
You know, when I saw her arms drop, and when you say that, it's like you can feel the weight.
That's right.
Of the history.
Collins tells me he measures the success of the museum not by the number of visitors or views on social media, but how it's growing and educating the community.
No matter how people try to tell you the world doesn't get it, humanity gets it. And when you speak to the humanity of people, still America is a great country. It may not be as great as we want it to be, but there's enough compassionate people to understand right from wrong. And you have to have the strength to teach that.
Marissa Burke, Wave News.
Powerful story. Our thanks to Marissa Burke for that one. Still to come, families turning to AI for student loan help may want to think twice about doing that. Next, we're going to hear about all the surprising findings about where these tools are falling short and why real experts still matter.
Now, Wave News.
A new evaluation of the top AI sites by the College Investor found that these platforms may not be able to handle questions about student loans just yet. In this Watching Your Wallet, Rachel DePompa takes a look at the findings.
As families weigh their options for student loans, the College Investor found out popular AI tools like ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, Copilot, and Google Gemini might not be the best place to go for advice right now. Robert Farrington with the College Investor says his company discovered 43% of AI answers are incorrect or misleading, or they might not share the full picture. They asked all of the platforms a series of questions about how to navigate student loan forgiveness.
It clearly defined what public service loan forgiveness was. However, we asked about changes that just passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and it couldn't answer any of them. So if you were trying to plan for the future, it's not going to help you navigate what's changing. How does that impact you? And the cost of that could be serious.
Barrington says right now, if you ask AI questions about student loans, you need to double check the answers it gives you with real experts or real websites like studentaid.gov or your loan servicer.
AI is a fun tool, but it does rely on the data that you put into it. And so the one thing I've learned in talking with student loan borrowers over the years is they don't always even know the right question to ask. And so if you're asking a certain question, it might be giving you an answer, but that might not be the answer that you need for your specific financial situation.
Farrington says if you are seeking help about student loans, it's really important to talk to a person who understands how these loans work and someone who can understand your financial situation. He says the answers you're getting from AI right now might not accurately reflect what is actually available for you. With this Watch in Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Team Kentucky is helping you stop unwanted spam calls with this new website. You see it here? It's called stopscams.ky.gov. It launched back in August. Well, the website includes the latest information regarding scams and their impact to Kentuckians. It also features tips on the best way to handle all those unwanted phone calls we get. They say the best strategy is just don't answer them at all. But if the notifications become annoying, here's some additional advice they had. First, check your phone settings for built-in spam call features. Ask your provider if they offer any sort of call blocking services there. You could also download a call screening app. Some of those are free. And if you do answer the call, never answer with yes. They can record that and somehow use it against you. For more information and resources about how to stop unwanted calls, visit stopscams.ky.gov. The University of Kentucky is beefing up its safety features on campus. We'll take a look inside the new police headquarters next.
And the warmth continues for some time, but we do have a rain chance that brings that coveted cooler fall air back into the forecast. You'll see it in the 10-day from the Weather Garden coming up in just a few moments.
Right, so we are checking in on the forecast now. Ryan Hoke is out in the Weather Garden. It looks nice and comfortable out there, although we are a couple degrees above what we should be at this time.
Yeah, we should be in the upper 70s for highs, and today we made it into the mid 80s. There's even a little bit of humidity out here, too. Temperatures running right now at 85 degrees here in the Wave Weather Garden. Feels like 83, and of course, winds are calm. That's making it feel just a touch stuffy, not having any breeze out here, but not much to complain about there, other than, of course, what this warm air is bringing, and that is more ragweed pollen. Yes, we've got the ragweed pollen count at a high level, and it will continue like that as we head toward the weekend and beyond. For allergy sufferers, we're really looking for that first frost or first freeze around here, and that would likely come a little later this month, if not early November. Outside now from our Starlight, Indiana SkyTrack camera, you see all the pumpkins out there at Huber's Orchard and Winery. It is such a nice evening out here. You could just stay out here all evening long and just kind of sip on some iced tea. It's that nice. You'll see out to our west, we've got a few downpours west of Evansville. Don't expect those here tonight, but tomorrow afternoon we could have a few isolated showers, perhaps a rogue downpour on the radar. It's only a 10% chance, but we need every drop of rain we can get in this kind of a setup as the drought does continue across our counties here. You'll notice that the St. James Court Art Show happens starting tomorrow. There's that small 10% rain chance I just talked about there. During the afternoon primarily, temperatures will be in the 80s. It's going to be a warm tailgate time for the U of L football game on Saturday against Virginia. 81 degrees by 1 o'clock. Shorts and t-shirts, sunglasses. You'll need the sunscreen if you'll be out there this weekend, not only at the football game, but Bowman Fest. They've got that 5K there Saturday morning. Temperatures will be in the upper 50s to near 60 during that. Now, there is a storm chance early next week, and it's one we need. We need the rain from this here. It's because of tropical moisture moving in from the Gulf ahead of a cold front. As that front moves through, we will see some scattered storms around here. That would be likely Tuesday into early Wednesday. By Wednesday afternoon, we could see a rogue shower in Kentucky. Most of this, though, will be off to our south and east as high pressure moves in. But the good stuff is going to be the rainfall totals, which could be 1/4 to 1/2 inch. We need a little bit more than that, but we'll take what we can get. The other good thing, cooler air. Fall-like weather finally is here by the time we head toward late next week. These are highs on Thursday, 68 degrees. Can you believe that? The 10-day earliest alert shows it very well. How we go from the 80s down into the 60s, like we saw a state trooper on the side of the road here. 80 degrees on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're at 70. Boom. There we go. A week from today, 68 degrees. These overnight lows in the 40s means you'll have to find your sweaters and your jackets and your jeans. Make sure those are ready to go, because by late next week, fall is going to be in full swing, and it's certainly going to feel like that around here, Brian.
Ryan, if you're going 87 to 48 past a state trooper, you're getting a ticket, buddy.
You might need need new brakes too while you're at it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. UK campus police are improving campus safety, and they're doing it with a new addition to their headquarters. So we got a new tour of the new Security Operations Center and all the new safety technology there. The SOC will be the hub for monitoring, coordinating, and managing safety and security operations all across campus. The new facility is housed within the new UK police headquarters. Here's what some of the new tools include. Everything from drones that are able to respond remotely to body cams that are now pushing live video.
Technology is the wave of the future when it comes to law enforcement. Everything from our drones that are able to respond remotely to our body cams that are now pushing live video.
The new Security Operations Center will be staffed 24/7. Officers will respond to emergency calls and monitor the campus camera system for any incidents. We'll be right back. Charlie Brown and the Peanuts are celebrating their 75th anniversary. The classic comic strip by Charles M. Schulz debuted on this day in 1950. Schulz continued creating every Peanuts strip for 5 decades. Several museums all across the country will have exhibits and events this year celebrating the Peanuts' 75th anniversary. Iconic piece of Americana. I want to thank you for joining us here for Wave News at 5. Wave News at 6 is coming up next.